Greetings to you all. I am Dr. Prasanna Devi, Assistant Professor of English. The topic we are going to see is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, a poem written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. A few words about Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Coleridge is a romantic poet, critic, and philosopher. He and William Wordsworth collaboratively published the lyrical ballads in the year 1798 that marked the beginning of the glorious Romantic age in English literature. His famous works are The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Christabel, and Kubla Khan. Introduction to the poem. The poem is written in 7 parts in the form of ballad. Ballad is a narrative poem. The narrator of the poem is an ancient mariner. Ancient means very old. The theme of the poem is sin, punishment, and redemption. The poem has imagination, fantasy, and supernatural elements. Summary of the first part of the poem. The first part of the poem describes how the mariner stops one of the 3 wedding guests who have come to attend a wedding and starts narrating a voyage that he undertook many years ago when he was young. The mariner and his crew of 100 men started their voyage in a ship. When the ship sailed south to Equator, it was caught in a storm and was driven onto the shore of Antarctica. They stuck in ice. An albatross, a sea bird, appeared out of nowhere through the fog. It was a symbol of messenger of hope. It befriended the shipmates who gave the bird some food. And suddenly the ice split. A south wind sprang up and took them northward. The mariner shot the albatross with his crossbow out of instinct, and the ship entered the Pacific Ocean. Their ship entered a calm sea. There was no wind, and so their ship came to a standstill. Their ship was like a painted ship upon a painted ocean. There was water everywhere around them, but not a drop to drink. And so the crew members got angry with the mariner for having killed the innocent albatross, and as a sort of punishment, they hanged the dead bird around the mariner's neck. When their ship got stuck, they saw a speck or a dot on the horizon. Soon they understood that a ship was coming towards them. When the ship in great speed approached them, they saw in utter horror that it was a skeleton ship with only 2 crew members. The one was male, that is Death himself. The other was a woman with leprosy-like paleness. She was Life and Death. They were playing the game of dice upon the life of the mariner. At the end of the game, life and death wins. Soon, the crew members dropped down dead one by one, but their hateful eyes were staring at the mariner. When the mariner told the wedding guest that all except himself were died, the guest was afraid of the mariner. But the mariner assured him that he did not die. Afterwards, he continued with his story. He was left alone among the dead bodies on the ship for 7 long days. Though initially he hated to see the water snakes on the motionless water around the ship, he felt alive when he saw the worms now. He unconsciously blessed them and found that he was able to pray. The albatross then fell down from his neck. The mariner, who could not sleep before, now
drifted into sleep. Afterwards, it started to rain, which is a good sign. The ship, along with the gentle breeze, started moving towards north. The mariner woke up and drank the rainwater after so many days of thirst. Then he saw some angelic beings descended and entered the bodies of the dead crew members and started to steer the ship. Part 6 of the poem opens with the dialogue between two voices that discuss what was moving the ship forward. When the ship came near the harbor, all the angelic beings left the bodies of the crew members and disappeared. The mariner now saw the shore of his own country. In the moonlight, he was able to see the harbor, lighthouse, and the church. He began to sob out of happiness. The mariner then heard voices of a pilot of a skiff boat, the pilot's boy, and a hermit. The boat was approaching the ship. The mariner was overjoyed to see the human beings. He wanted the hermit to wipe him clean of his sin, to wash away the albatross's blood. When the boat came near the ship, suddenly a noise came from under the water and the ship sank into the vortex created. The men on the boat saved the ancient mariner. On reaching shore, the mariner begged the hermit to absolve him of his sins. He was compelled to share his story with the hermit. Once he shared the story, he was restored from his pain. The mariner, thus, after having narrated his story, told him that whenever the urge to tell the story returned to him, he is in agony of telling his story. He wanders from place to place and chooses a particular person to share his tale. Finally, he bids farewell to the wedding guests. The guests left the place as a sadder and a wiser man after a strong message was conveyed by the mariner. He prayeth best, who loveth best, all things both great and small. For the dear God who loveth us, He made and loveth all. In other words, one becomes closer to God by respecting all living beings, because God loves all His creations, both great and small. Thank you.